교회 여러분 안녕하세요. 기다리시던 수요일 말씀 묵상 시간이 다가왔습니다. 오늘 뉴스를 보니 2월 15일쯤에는 모든 게 정상화가 된다고 하네요. 백신도 다 맞을 수 있고 하루빨리 대면 예배가 되어서 이 온라인 큐티가 아닌 우리 진짜로 교회에 모여서 했으면 좋겠네요. 오늘도 말씀 묵상하시고 또 은혜 받으시는 하루 되기를 바랍니다. 찬송 부르시겠습니다.
주 예수보다 더 귀한 것은 없네. 이 세상 무기와 바꿀 수 없네. 영 죽은 내 대신 돌아가신 그 놀라운 사랑 잊지 못해. 세상 즐거움 다 버리고 세상 자랑 다 버렸네. 주 예수보다 더 귀한 것은 없네. 예수밖에는 없네.
요한계시록 3장 18절 말씀입니다. 내가 너를 권하노니 내게서 불로 연단한 금을 사서 부유하게 하고 흰옷을 사서 입어 벌거벗은 수치를 보이지 않게 하고 안약을 사서 눈에 발라보게 하라. 아멘.
I'm not sure if other countries are familiar with this phrase, but here in America, there's a well-known saying that goes like this: time is money. This was a saying that was used by the famous scientist, inventor, and politician Benjamin Franklin. And he used it in an essay that he wrote in 1748. And in this essay, he was writing as if he was giving advice to a young man who was just beginning his own journey into becoming a businessman. Now, I'm sure it's pretty obvious what Benjamin Franklin meant when he said that time is money. But just to clarify what his purpose was in saying these words, I want to explain what kind of man Benjamin Franklin was. He was a strong believer in hard work, saving money, being responsible with money, and not wasting it on meaningless things. He wasn't known to be a greedy man who constantly thought about ways that he can become rich, but instead he was an honest man who understood the value of time and hard work. So when he wrote these words, time is money, what he meant was that when someone decides to spend time doing things that are not productive, or what he would consider wasted time, there's a cost to the time that is spent in this way. This is a good lesson to learn, and a good lesson to be reminded of, that there is a cost in the way that we spend our time. This morning our passage comes from Revelation chapter 3, and in this particular chapter of Revelation, as well as in the previous chapter, we find what is known as the 7 letters to the 7 churches. These were 7 letters that were messages given by Jesus himself to 7 different churches that were in the region of Asia at this time. And what you will find in these 7 messages is a similar pattern, where Jesus first gives an introduction about himself, and then he tells each church what he approves of regarding their works, and then he tells them what he disapproves of. Or to say it another way, he rebukes them for certain things. And then lastly, he encourages them to repent, and ends by reminding them of the rewards that are waiting for them if they do decide to repent. Now, apart from 2 churches, the other 5 churches received some kind of rebuke from Jesus. And in Revelation chapter 3, verse 14, we come to the message to the church in Laodicea. And when you read what Jesus said to this church, you'll find that he had nothing positive to say at all. There was nothing that this church was doing that Jesus approved of. Instead, he rebukes them for being lukewarm. But not only that, Jesus goes on to tell them that though they are rich with money and wealth, they are in fact spiritually poor. There was a false sense of comfort that this church was experiencing because they had everything they physically could want or need. And so they thought they were doing fine. But what Jesus pointed out was that they were not fine at all. And in fact, they were in great need. He even said to them that they were blind and naked. They had no idea how desperate and in need they were. Then Jesus tells them something interesting. He told them to buy gold from him that is refined by fire, so that they might become rich. Now this is interesting language because according to the gospel, salvation is free. It's by grace that we have been saved. But here, Jesus was telling the church in Laodicea to buy from him gold. To understand what Jesus was telling them, I think the quote by Benjamin Franklin is helpful here. There's nothing we can do to work our way into a relationship with God. Jesus even explained to his disciples, "No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him." Our ability to have a relationship with God is because of God's work in our lives. However, once we are brought in so that we can have a relationship with him, it is up to us to do our part in maintaining that relationship with him. And this requires our time. And this is what I want to encourage all of us with this morning. The currency with which we are to buy gold from Jesus is time. Time throughout the day where we are in fellowship with Jesus. Not because we feel like we have to, or because we want to prove our devotion and dedication, but because of how much we want what he has prepared for us, which he says is gold that is refined by fire. Jesus has done the work of preparing the gold, and now he wants us to buy from him. The next time we're faced with the option of spending our time doing other things instead of investing our time in our relationship with Jesus, I pray that we would remember that there is a cost to the way that we spend our time.
네, 목사님 감사합니다. 오늘 말씀도 전해주시고 또 오늘은 말씀이 좀 어려워서 제가 여러 번 들었거든요. 그래서 제가 좀 적어봤어요. 우리 교우들도 여러 번 들으시고 은혜 받으시길 바랍니다. 말씀 중에 하나님과의 관계를 위해서 우리는 아무것도 할 수 없지만 우리에게 주어진 시간을 잘 활용해서 또 주님께서 주어진 그 관계를 꾸준히 그 시간을 들여 노력해야 하면 반드시 그 길이 있다고 하시는 것 같습니다. 결국 무슨 말이냐면요. 예수님과 동행하기 위해서 예수님하고 더 시간을 많이 보내라는 것 같습니다. 여러분 오늘 예수님하고 동행하시면서 내 것도 바쁜 것도 많지만 예수님하고 시간을 보내시고 또 예수님하고 보내지 않는 시간은 또 그 시간하고 예수님하고 보내는 시간은 어떻게 다른가 한번 또 생각해보는 또 그런 시간도 되기를 바랍니다. 기도하겠습니다. 하나님 아버지 오늘 또 벤 전도사님 통화해서 말씀 전해주셨는데 시간에 대해서 말씀해 주셨습니다. 우리가 시간을 보낼 때 예수님과 동행하며 예수님과 초점을 맞추며 또 예수님 하늘의 것을 생각하는 우리 포틀랜드 영락교회 성도들과 또 제가 되도록 오늘 묵상하는 시간 되기를 바랍니다. 주여 우리에게 시간을 소중히 쓰되 정말 주님과 함께 보낼 수 있도록 주여 저희들을 축복하여 주시옵소서. 감사하며 귀하신 예수님의 이름으로 기도드립니다. 아멘. 자, 내일 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요.